This is Carla Atherton, Director of the Healthy Family Formula and host and producer of the Children's Health Summit 4. In response to the rapid rise in conditions such as autism, cancer, ADHD, GI distress, anxiety, depression, asthma, skin conditions, learning disabilities, and autoimmunity, the topic of this year's summit is preventing and reversing childhood chronic illness. And today I'm very excited to be interviewing this session's speaker, Dr. Brett Brimhall. Dr. Brimhall has been married to Holly for over 22 years, and they have 4 children ranging from 11 to 19. He has been in clinical practice for 19 years and has been training healthcare providers all over the world since 1995. During that time, he has been part of teaching and creating nutritional supplements and chiropractic tools and techniques. He and his father have pioneered the 6 steps to wellness, and his passion for helping people achieve their full potential in health has now been expanded to helping people with their wealth. In 2014, he had a paradigm shift when he saw significant changes in a patient that he had worked with for over a year with a new breakthrough technology. He is now a Pro 7 with the company and is sharing his life-changing science and opportunity with the world. Welcome, Dr. Brimhall.
No, thank you for having me to be a part of this. It's super exciting. As you were reading that, it takes me back through everything that I've been through, and I know with you, we all have a story of how we end up here. And I originally became a chiropractor because I just wanted for my family what I grew up with. I thought everybody had somebody that, hey, if you're struggling, you got adjusted. Like you watch what you ate, you went and got a colonic. Like that was my normal, right? Yeah. And I didn't realize that was so far from normal. And to this day, I'm super grateful that that's what I had and that's what my kids have had, because I watch what's happening in the world, and I love what you say about helping kids get well. Mm-hmm. It's really sad for me to watch kids struggle so much. And even with me, knowing what I know, I'm trying to help some of them and still struggling, and knowing there had to be more. I've always wondered with some of these kids with autism or attention to deficit, especially autism, like how much of it is that they're not getting or how much of they can't get out. And literally now knowing what we now know with some of this new technology, the information's there. It's just it's not integrating and it can't get out. But now we have ways to do that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So I appreciate you letting me be a part of it.
Pardon?
I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. It's the people, we need this, and we need people like you. They're out there just, blazing a trail. Like we need this information. There's never been a better time, because now doing things like this, we can combine people from all across the globe. Yes. We have unique skill sets, and we can help each other. I was looking at a picture of, maybe I'll show it later. It's literally a picture of the first physics conference back in 1927. Right, or what it is before that, where you have Einstein and Madame Curie. None of them had a Nobel Prize at all. Up until they met, they kind of collaborated, and after that, 19 of that group went on to get a Nobel Prize. So I love this technology. I love what you're doing, bringing these different people from different groups together so we can hopefully get the best of everything to empower our families and our friends and even our own kids to live a different and better life than what maybe they would otherwise.
That's exactly why I had to have you on, because of that your perspective on things. And it's really interesting how, a lot of people come to this kind of work because they've had a health crisis and they kind of learn things the improper way, I guess you could call it, the way that doesn't serve them. Okay, so they came and then they changed. For you, it seems like you kind of knew this before. Like you thought everybody did this. Everybody got adjustments. Everybody, took care of themselves in this way. And then you started working clinically. So 19 years ago, right? Like is when you started, working as a clinician. So what have you seen change, like clinically, in regards to children's health over the span of your career?
What I've seen is really drastically, I didn't plan on treating kids. Like I just grew up like as a kid, and if I was struggling, whether that was emotionally stressed or playing basketball and got injured or just whatever it was, I get adjusted and felt better, right? I just thought that was normal, right? What I've watched over the last 20 years, and even before that teaching with my dad seminars, people are younger and younger kids I'm seeing having chronic illness. Mm-hmm. Right? When I first started practice, I saw a little of that, very little. But now that's the norm. I see every day, every week, people come into me with a chronic illness of kids that are teenagers. Yep. Or some of them even younger, right? Related specifically to autoimmune conditions, right? And it's not because we don't have better technology. It's not because we don't have better diagnosing skills. It's literally because the environment has changed. Our ability to handle that environment is not the same. right? And so we need better tools. We need better resources. And truly, now we're at a spot where people are asking the right questions, right? Before it's like medicine, it's like physician heal thyself. Like, what's really going on? Let's understand the process, not the system. I don't want to treat symptoms. I want to treat systems. And I think that as a society, we're starting to look that way, personal accountability, things like this, where people can get good information out there, where you can really look, because it's got to make sense in your heart and your mind, like it should. Like whether it's a medication or whether it's a nutritional product or whether they exercise, it's got to make sense both ways. It can't be just something so abstract. But we got to understand, you got to have a relationship with your body, understand what your body's telling you, and then give your body what it needs. But let's use the latest, greatest technology to get there, because not everything's created equal that way. And even for myself, like, even though I was raised in a phenomenally healthy environment, there are things in your environment right now that you have no idea that's damaging you.
Yep.
So with my own mom, my mom's mom lived in 97, her dad lived in 93. My mom passed away at 61 from cancer. Right? She's the youngest of 10. All right. None of those kids have lived past 82. Yeah. The oldest one is 82 right now. Right. Wow. So environmental influences, we didn't even know were there, impacted her genetics because of environmental exposure. Now knowing that, I'm doing things now preventively with my kids because of their environmental changes, both from a physical toxic environment, but also emotionally toxic environments that can happen. So like, it's time. We've got to get the information out, because if we don't, it's going to be us or our kids having those struggles, and we need better tools to help us get there. So that's what I've seen happen and change. But I'm just as excited too, because we have better tools now, better ability to catch it sooner, but we have to be open to looking at those answers.
Exactly. So you mentioned tools and technology. Is that what you mean? I mean, when you're referring to technology, what kind of tools are you talking about? Like, are you talking about diagnostics? Are you talking about our ability to speak right here? Like, what kinds of things are you thinking about?
I think both. I think and the technology of even like this, where we can have educational technology, where literally we can be exposed to things, have personal accountability, because medicine, at least in the United States, it's not based on personal accountability. Right? But now we're moving that way to personal accountability. And it's really been driven by the dollar, because medicine gets so expensive. I like that. I like the accountability for me as a physician. Like, my job is to get you well, right? How unique would that be, right? If you only got paid based on results, right? It wouldn't bother me a bit, right? The other side of it is personal accountability to the patient, but also the same thing true with diagnostic abilities and understanding function. Right? We're now looking at how we understand how function is, not just symptoms. So even looking at nutraceuticals that I use, like my dad, he formulated over 200 different products, and we try to take the best of all the world and blend them together. But now we understand this process we call nutrigenomics, which is literally looking at genetics and how in which nutrition affects genetics. We're not looking at symptoms anymore. We're looking at systems. So, hey, you know what? The body breaks down. We know that. That's called oxidative stress. Literally, it's called rusting, right? So if you could reverse that process by activating the internal ability to do that, would you, and how do you do that? The same thing is true with energy production. We all know, living where we do, thank goodness we have a sanitation department, and thank goodness we have an electrical system, right? Otherwise, living where we live would not be so great. Well, inside our body, that's the same. Your sanitation department controls your oxidative stress. Your mitochondria control your energy production. If those two systems don't work, like, you're in trouble. And those are specific, what they call, the pathways are called NRF2 and NRF1. Nutrition is now looking at, we always talked about, hey, let's take your vitamin A, your vitamin C, your zinc. We call them ACEs, ACE and zinc. That's your antioxidants, which is good to do. But what if we could literally turn on the body's switches to make its own? That's the protein called NRF2. And now we understand that there are specific supplements targeted at that, right? And that's what, when I was working with a lot of autistic boy, literally I worked with him every week for a year. And then his mom gave him this drink, right? And it's truly with nerve 2 activation, but for brain, it really designed to address brain fatigue. I found myself on an airplane a couple of weeks after that meeting the scientists, because I was trying to wrap my mind around this. Like, how did that happen? Like, I was giving him nutrition. He was doing 35 hours of therapy on top. At the same time, he was doing IV therapy someplace else. Yet he started doing this drink that was designed for brain fatigue, and all of a sudden he started clicking on all cylinders. Right? And how many of us are just like that? So literally, when that opened my eyes, I started looking at this other technology that was out there, looking at activation of gene responses
Yep.
and realizing, oh my God, like not only is this real, but that it does matter what products there is, what the combination of the ingredients are, and how they're put together, because it had a drastically different effect. And now this little boy, like I just got a text from his mom yesterday about how good he's doing in school. In a normal school, they don't know his diagnosis. He's got the principal's list the last two years. I mean, 4 years ago, he could barely write his name.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that's the change in technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so
his mom was trying.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to get back to his story for sure, because I want to hear more about him. I just want to recap a bit of what you said so that people don't get lost. Because there's a lot here. So we're talking about nutrigenomics, and nutrigenomics is using nutrition to flip genes on and off, right? So is that correct?
So nutrigenomics is really yes, correct. Yes.
Okay. So
nutrigenomics is literally the study of how and which foods. Mm-hmm. Sorry, you cut out. I'm not sure what you said.
Stupid Zoom. Okay, so go ahead. You answer that question. I'm going to wait.
Yeah. So nutrigenomics is literally the study of how and which foods and or supplements affect gene expression.
Yeah.
Right. People used to say, "Well, it's all in my genes." Well, it is, but it doesn't mean what you think you're going to have, you're going to have.
Right.
Literally, the NRF2 switch, you can turn that on and off with natural substances that literally turn on your body's ability to heal and repair. Imagine a kid, little babies, right? Typically, they heal faster than adults, right?
Yep.
What if you could get your body healing like it was when you were a kid again?
Cool.
We all have oxidation. It becomes stressful when your body can't keep up with it.
Yep.
Right, and the effects of that stress are cumulative. So this switch, NRF2, literally controls that response inside your cell. Mm-hmm. So there are products now being made targeted to turn on that response. So it's not about being a better vitamin C or a better vitamin E. It's literally about combination of things that activate the body's natural ability to heal and repair.
Yeah, so there's synergy.
NRF2 is one of them.
Yeah.
And what they're saying now with nutrigenomics, it is the next wave of nutrition. Like pretty soon you're going to see things being made specifically to activate gene expression, not trying to be a better vitamin C or a better CoQ10. Mm-hmm. It's a very different animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that makes sense to me because there's a synergy to it, right? Because that's kind of what happens in the body. And what you're talking about isn't like a one shot either, because you said his mom was trying and all this stuff, and I'm sure that a lot of the stuff she'd already done was beneficial and needed to set the stage for this, but also there's sometimes this sort of switch that needs to be flipped because the child's missing something, or there's like something just not working properly. So if you can flip that switch using nutrition in the right amounts, in the right combination, that's when you have the real magic happens, which what it seems to me would happen with that little boy, that little client of yours. So I'm wondering too, if you can go deeper into NRF2. So what he's saying is NRF2, and so like some people say NRF2. What is that specific path?
Yeah, so they call it NRF2. It's easier to say NRF2.
Yeah.
So what it is, so NRF2 and NRF1, they're basically these little proteins that sit on top of your cell. Mm-hmm. And when they're activated, so think of them like a light switch.
Okay.
Right? So when that switch turns on, it causes changes inside your cell. All right? So when that particular system is activated, it turns on things inside your cell, specifically your nucleus, inside your cell, that cause the manufacture of new things. It turns on your body's production of these big enzymes that do the cleanup. So think of it in the sense of if you had a bunch of trash in your house, right? What if you could just ask your kids to clean up the house one time and they went and did it all?
Yeah.
How cool would that be, right?
Cool.
So literally that's what that switch is. Like it turns on, but not only your kids, but your whole cleaning crew inside your cell, which is where it has to take place, right? So there's another switch, NRF1, that controls the communication to how your body makes energy, the mitochondria. Mm-hmm. So the uniqueness about this is we all know that mitochondrial function, or these little powerhouse your cells make energy, we know they're hugely important, but everybody's looking at how do we just help them have the right nutrition versus how do we actually switch those little bad boys on. So this concept of nutrigenomics is one step closer, it's way upstream. We're saying, hey, we want to find out how to activate that switch. Right? So with our kids, I tell my kids, I love you, but I don't want to supplement your income the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to activate you to learn what you need to learn so you can be successful in your health, in your wealth, and your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't want to fix you. I want to activate you to maximize your potential. Guys, supplementation is that. We're supplementing deficiencies. Activation is vastly different. We're literally allowing the body to do what it's designed to do. Mm-hmm. So there's twofold with that. One, we need to give the body what it needs to have the right ingredients. So when you activate that switch, the body can make the manufacture what it needs to. But at the same time, we need to decrease our stress burdens as well. Mm-hmm. Right? So I love what you said about that mom. She was doing everything possible, right, that she knew to help her son. It was that one other thing that allowed us to kind of put that little lock, open up that combination lock and manifest it. It reminded me, so when I saw that happen, I had a client I treated for 15 years. Her diagnosis was first with MS, multiple sclerosis. She had a daughter with autism. I called her up, one of the first people. I said, look, I want you to try these, because this lady was on 32 supplements a day. Mm-hmm. Her daughter was on like 28. I've been taking care of her daughter for 15 years. Her daughter's now 21. Mm-hmm. Right? And what I've seen happen when her body went from supplementing to activating, and she had done 50 some odd different therapy. I've watched this lady go from on a medication to a chemo drug to keep her from going into relapses, to be off all medication, to now functioning literally all day long, where before she'd do something for about an hour and have to lay down for several hours.
Wow.
I've watched her daughter go from just very low, very little interaction, not really laughing when there's a joke, like just not getting stuff, which is common, to a little girl that just finished her first college class, something we never thought was possible. Mm-hmm. She started getting the beast in a play because she could show emotions. So what I thought was possible with the knowledge I had 4.5 years ago was nowhere close to what was possible for these families. Mm-hmm. But because of the little boy that struggled, and me having this, me being a part of that, to watch that process, her mom introducing it to me, all of a sudden now I've been able to impact a lot more lives that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so being able to connect with you, where we just want this information out to people. Because I know right now there are hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, and they're using old technology.
Yes.
Right? It's not because they don't want to know, they just don't know yet. So in my opinion, nutrigenomics will be the standard of care when it comes to how we address the aging process, how we address the healing processes, because we're not going to look anymore at how do we supplement. We're going to look, hey, can we affect the system of cleanup? Can we affect the energy production themselves? Can we affect the system of digestion and immune system? Right? That is literally where it's going. How do we address brain fatigue? Right now, kids with autism or attention deficit, or any of us, right, they use stimulant drugs. Mm-hmm. Because we're dealing with brain fatigue. So whether that's a kid that's really struggling with a diagnosis, or somebody that's just, your kids are coming home from school, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so tired. What am I going to do? I got to reach for chocolate? No. You reach for a drink called Axio, and it gives you a focus. Yeah. Right? It drastically different. Right? Because people are looking for answers, but they don't even know it exists. Yeah. But that synergy is key. Right? That synergy has to be there to make sure we're getting the system to work like it's supposed to. And that's what the company that I've been part of now the last 1.5 years, they're looking at those. Like, how do we find the system that can be active? How do we synergistically apply different combination of things to make that? Even the drink, I remember looking at it, I'm like, okay, that's unique. Well, why would they put those together? And I start thinking, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Because you're doing this to this and this. You combine those in a certain ratio, you get sustained energy with focus without a crash. Right. I'm like, okay, well, that was brilliant. Right. And that's the difference in the way medicine's even going now, because they're starting to look more holistically. Like my dad for years, he'd always said, I'm a holistic practitioner, and he'd always spell whole, W-H-O-L, like whole. Mm-hmm. Right. And we're really holistically looking at the body physically, emotionally, biochemically, spiritually, and the family. Like, how do we blend that? How do we help people physically, emotionally, relationship wise, and give them the tools and resources and knowledge and understanding, and then accountability to have that success.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. So, okay, we're going to go back to that because I really want to talk more about what those I guess you'd still calling them supplements, but what those are that you actually used. But how, I know you have a big history in supplement, like creating supplements, knowing that industry, like what happens, with these particular products. Like, so how are supplements created? What can you tell us about that whole, that process there?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I used to tease my dad a lot because, being a son, you always kind of harass your father. It's just kind of what you do, right? And I remember I'd be at different conferences and stuff, and I'd call him, hey, you're actually smarter than I thought you were, because I'd hear how he manufactures supplements. Because a lot of people they just read research, right? And they say, well, these things should go together. My dad uniquely made them where he would research them. He would be clinically using different products, find out he's having to combine different things to get people to get better, whether that's an adrenal support or GI support, right? And then he would use muscle testing and what's called doctoral microscopy and lab tests. We try to blend all those different things to try to find the best fit. Well, that's a very cumbersome process, but it worked really well. He made 200 different products that worked fantastic for several different companies, right? But we were doing it purely based on clinical research and other research that we are seeing in the scientific research, and then just seeing what patients needed. Mm-hmm. So this type of, and that's the typical, it takes months and years to and knowledge to have that, and then you got to find a manufacturer that will make them cleanly with whole food, right? Just all natural without putting a lot of other things in them, right? So it can be super complex. When I'm looking at supplements, like when you walk in the store and you say, I need vitamin D, there's 15 to 20 different vitamin Ds, and they're all different priced. It does not mean they're all the same, right? So very different when you're looking. So right now you can't even really go into a store very often. You're not going to see it hardly ever, where you're going to see something that says nutrigenomics, or you're looking at activators. You're not going to see that yet. Mm-hmm. Very few even professional grade pharmaceutical companies are addressing that. There are a couple out there, but very, very few. So what happened years ago, a guy, he discovered superoxide dismutase, which is a big enzyme that helps clean things up. And he tried to find pharmaceuticals and things like that to find a way to activate the body to make it. Well, he didn't. He finally found different plants and herbs. When he combined them, it had that effect. Mm-hmm. Like, this is before we even knew what nutrigenomics was. Mm-hmm. So they had an ability to test in a petri dish, right, the amount of activation that happened in a cell. Mm-hmm. So that's how they got to study. So now the way these products are being made, we're not wondering if they activate the enzymes. They can test it. Right? That takes a lot of cool research, right? But it was the understanding that it took to get there. But now they can test it. Hey, this works in a petri dish. Now let's do it in animals. Then let's do it in humans. There's the NRF2 product that activates the body's ability to repair. The average, it helps repair on average of 40% in 30 days. Mm-hmm. That's what we know. And that's based on a human study. There's over 24 published studies on what's called PubMed.gov, which is the National Institutes of Health Library, on that product, specifically Protandim, right? So when I first started looking at that research, it blew my mind, because I was teaching for a company that made a product called NRF2 Activator, and I thought I was doing what this did. I had no idea that I wasn't, but I wasn't getting good results with the other. Mm-hmm. When I started using this, the results were vastly different. So it does matter the type of ingredients you have, the amounts that are there, and how they're put together. Right? Vastly different. So when products are made, and answer your question now with this company specifically, they're looking at the science and the research, then they're combining things, looking at activation inside the cell that can be tested before you take it to market. Very, very, very different, right? And to have published studies showing that it does that, and they even have a 10-year study on animals showing it extended life. Only dietary supplements shown to do that. Right? 10 years. Like, that does not happen. And so very unique that it happened all this way, but it's been great for me to kind of look back and say, knowing how hard it is to make a product that works well, right? But to have the research there, but the financial backing, we'll be able to produce that, and now a distribution method where we can get it out to the masses, because we're really talking this switch NRF2, Washington State, they called the science of NRF2,
Mm-hmm.
The biggest therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. That's
Wow.
literally what they said, right? And from a clinical perspective, what I've seen happen, and when you're talking about autoimmune conditions, it's all related to inflammation. They're a patent on this showing that it reduces inflammation. So we as a people need these type of things to maximize the results we're getting. It's not that we aren't all looking for answers. We know there's challenges out there. It's like if we had a better school we take our kids to because we thought they'd be more successful and it was close enough to us, we'd do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what we're saying now, what we're interested about nutrigenomics and the way products are made, you want to start asking those questions with the companies you're working with.
Yep.
Are these nutrigenomic-based products, do they activate specific gene switches? How do they work? Okay, is there some scientific backing? What are the clinical results? As I've got involved with this company in the last 4.5 years, there's over 1,200 medical professionals that are part of this company. And we're not paid, right? We're all just independent distributors for them. But when we collaborate, and I hear the stories again and again, and we're talking about acupuncturists and nurse practitioners, MDs, plastic surgeons, neuropsychologists, like just a vast array.
Yes.
Because really, at the end of the day, all conditions that are struggling are related to too much oxidative stress, poor mitochondrial dysfunction, gut health not working well, immune dysregulations, and poor fatty acid and a fatigued brain. I mean, 95% of people's problems harbor in those areas, right? And so having what you guys are doing, Carla, where you're educating people on good food choices and environmental choices and all the things need to happen because we get this stress out and then we activate our systems the right way, then we have a winning combination. It gives your body a chance to actually win.
Nice. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about that. Like, this is why I invited you. I invited you on to talk about this specifically because in my line of work and with my own family, like I've had a lot of challenges to help people overcome or to overcome myself. And so I vet specific, companies, like you're talking about looking into supplement companies and stuff like that. I'm very choosy. I pick, like, I select very carefully because I'm very cognizant of people's money, of their time, of their hope, right? Because you can get a child, taking 14 different or 20 or 30, like you had clients that you've had, supplements every day, and they get pill fatigue, and they're not getting anywhere. Everybody gives up. They give up. The parents do, the child does. They don't believe anymore. They think this is it for me because they don't have the right thing. So I've been really careful to vet everything that I recommend to my clients and to use with my own family, because we've actually done that in the past. We've tried all these things that sound really great. It should work, but it didn't. So that's one thing. Another thing is I'm very cognizant of people's money, because, you could, if you're taking 30 supplements a day, add that up. And I'm not saying other supplements aren't helpful, because let's say someone uses Protandim or Axio, they may need something else, like, a really good fat, or they may need, some kind of like spore biotic, or, some kind of other help with detox, like that, stuff like that. Or if they're doing like a parasite cleanse or something like that, like, of course, there's other things. But as far as the fundamental, like upstream, like you're saying, way upstream, I think that, using something that is less to take. So I remember when we first talked, I said to you, Brett, like, okay, why? I mean, I could take curcumin, I can take, whatever. I can't even remember. There are 5 ingredients in Protandim that are like really basic, like, or green tea extract, right? That's one of them, isn't it? There's 5 of them in there. You can tell me in a sec. And then there's like an Axio, same deal. Like, why can't I just take some magnesium and these other minerals and this and whatever? And then as I was asking you that question, I was answering it myself. Well, because it's synergy, it's the right proportion, and it's in the right combination at the right time, and it's all in one pill. For goodness sake, why would I do that to myself, to put together 5 different pills when I could take one? And so and a drink like Axio, why would I say, hey, choke this back, kiddo, you can take all these different supplements when you can just drink something that tastes kind of fruity. And like my son, he takes it and he shakes it up for work. He shakes it up in his a container and he takes it to work. And he's like, because all he's done all his life is drink water, right? We don't drink a lot of pop juice or anything. But he's 20 now, and he's like, I just want something different. It actually tastes different, and like it made sense to me when we talked about that. So I just want to go back to, so again, I vet everything very carefully. So yeah, why not do 1 or 2 things instead of 15? Has synergy, less money. It's a very effective, because all of the stories you're telling me, I have to second that, because I haven't used it with my wide base of clients yet, because I'm like with everybody who comes, I'm like, what works for you? What do we need? And actually this was twigged on to these supplements, I don't know, a few months ago. So I made sure I used them myself first. And I can tell you, I had actually a lot of things that I needed to still clear up and that I was still working on. Not a lot of things, but some things in particular. And, me being really healthy, and you're saying doing everything, I was like, why aren't I getting past that threshold? So I started taking it. I was like, literally, I was insane. If I'm not energetic now, I was like crazy person. Like I was like, I'm just lit up. I'm on fire. Like I was so, and it wasn't just like my body. Okay, Brett, it was more like my mind. Like it was like this fog kind of lifted, like where I felt like I was just like, sometimes I was just like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this. My, this kid's sick, or that person I can't help as well. They want to, and like all these things. And it was just like, it was like that stuff just kind of like went away. It was literally, I actually did not expect that in any way. And I did not expect that. And it was also a really key player in pulling another, like a family member that I was helping through a really difficult and deep depression and Lyme disease. Okay, so this person had Lyme, EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, and also deep depression and just completely lack of motivation, not working for 10 months, and he's like better. He's working. He's and I was like, okay. So I just have to say that I'm seeing these clinical results, and I really appreciate that it goes upstream, right? Like it's flipping on something that needs to happen in the body, and dealing with those things that you're saying are upstream, and I always talk about as root causes. So you're saying fatty acids, mitochondrial health, the fatigued brain, toxicity. I think there was another one that you said, Brett. What was that? Is there anything else I'm missing there?
Not really. So it really works off a system. I love what you said. You didn't expect it, right? Oh. Now, when you look at the 5 herbs that are in Protandem, like I remember when someone showed me they had got great results with it years before I even looked at it. I looked at it and I said, well, milk thistle, yes, for liver. I got that ashwagandha, adrenal, copa. I seen that great with different depressions and stuff like that. Green tea extract, yeah, a lot of different things there. And turmeric said, yeah. I said, look, fine, right? But at that time, and I should have known better. I really should have, because when we made products, we always looked at synergy. We always talked about synergy and how things were put together. I didn't realize that they had spent 20 years working on this formula, looking for a way to activate the body's ability to do that. Because we weren't really looking at that. So now looking at medicine and where we're going with this, now we know there's nutrients. We know that synergy matters. When LifeVantage is making these products, they're making them specifically to try to address these systems that we didn't even know about. Even their probiotics that way. Now, it's a time-release probiotic with beta-glucans in it. So you're addressing leaky gut. At the same time, you're addressing immune dysregulation. At the same time, you're addressing good bacteria where they're supposed to get. Right? So that's the technology difference. And we don't want to be a better supplement company. Yeah. We literally want to be at the forefront of nutrigenomics, the forefront of this process called biohacking, because we're having hijacking go on in our bodies every day, all day long with the environment. And even with you, like, as you notice, like, you've done a lot of great things. You take a lot of great supplements. And I was the same. I grew up taking good supplements, right? But we didn't even know that nutrigenomics was a thing, right? And so to hear what you said, well, hey, my brain is like this lifted, right? Excuse me. Imagine how many people would love to have that fog lifting, because we're not tired, guys, because we're physically tired. We're tired because we're mentally tired. That's really what the problem is. So if we're not doing things to address brain fatigue, we're missing the boat. This depression, anxiety, the overwhelm, all these things that we feel, the things, I don't want to make a decision, I can't make a decision, right, that are us normal people, which we all feel at time to time, is literally brain fatigue. The company has addressed that. That's what I'm super passionate about this process, because, look, I want to be on the end of prevention. I want to be on the end of like doing things before there's a problem. I've treated people therapeutic my whole life. I love helping people get better, but the masses will never come in to see me because you got to have a problem to see me.
Yep.
I want to be a part of what you're doing, of us getting information out to people so they never have to come in and see a doctor because they're empowered. And then when they go see the doctor, they can ask the doctor the right questions.
Yes.
Help me, guide me in my process of what I need to do. And let's work on your symptom, not your symptoms, but your system to get rid of the symptoms so that your body can actually function like it's supposed to. Right? Because our environment's not getting cleaner, it's getting worse. So guess what? If your environment's getting more dirty, so is you. Right? So you got to find a way to activate those systems. And so it's a joy to be a part of the summit. I'm excited to just grow with you guys and learn and help empower more people, because at the end of the day, if we get the information out, then there's less people I'm going to have to see that are already so broken. It takes a long time to fix. And from a money standpoint, like the most expensive supplement is one that doesn't work. And the quicker you can make changes and improvements, the less damage is done, the quicker it is to change. By the time people get to me, sometimes it's thousands of dollars for us to get them back where they are. Now, it's well worth that. Yeah. But wouldn't it be nice to never get there? And these are our kids. Right? And I think, and I love to end on this kind of note, is just, it's not so much about, it is about us getting them well, but I remember watching these little kids, and the one particular, he said, look, I just want to be smart like my brother. Right? Because of how his brain was performing, he didn't feel smart. Okay. Yeah. I've watched my own kids, right? What would you do as a parent to help that child feel smart so their confidence was higher? So having these products and these tools and these trainings where we can literally get our kids to realize how powerful they are, how smart they are, the capacity that they do have, so that they can attract the type of job they want, have the family life they want to have, impact the world the way they can because their brains work like they're supposed to. That's what this is about. I'm just grateful to have a product and a company I can do that with, and people that see that the same way, because that's what we are doing. It's not just using the best products. It's really changing the world one person at a time so they can perform their best, so they can be the best at whatever they choose to do. Yeah.
Love that. I'm going to totally leave it at that. So Brett, thanks so much for being part of the Children's Health Summit 4. We will have a link under this talk to where you can click in and look at what's in the products. Like, so we're talking about Protandim and Axio in particular at the end of this talk here. And check it out for yourself if you want to get some for your family, whatever. We have access for you, so please do check that out. And thanks so much, Brett. Like, this was just amazing. I love talking about this. I think that your mission is completely in line with mine, and I'm really, really excited to be able to work on this level with people. And, at this level with children and prevention, as well as, reversing chronic childhood illness is really, to me, one of the most important things we can be doing. So thanks for participating in that and for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I look forward to doing this more with you. I'll connect with you later by phone. I've got a couple of videos I think you'll love that we just did that will help parents too.
Perfect. Maybe we'll just have to link to those as well. So we'll put a whole whack of stuff under this talk. Thanks, Brett.
I hope you enjoyed this interview, and be sure to listen to more interviews from this timely and groundbreaking series. If you would like more information, guidance, and support through your family's health journey, and or want to join our growing community of professionally trained family health coaches, please visit us at healthyfamilyformula.com. Together, we can turn the tide for the future health of our children. May you and your families be well.